And we are live. What's up, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of New Book Day Previews with Rex from Dynamite. So, everyone that's in the house right now, please welcome Rex.
What's up, everyone?
Oh, what's
I hope
going
everybody had
on?
a safe and happy Christmas, and we got the New Year coming up real soon.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, yeah, so how are you adjusting, man?
Things are going. Things are going
Yeah,
real smooth. Finally getting a pretty solid schedule down working with the shop. I did an auction for them on Tuesday. Well, I guess
cool.
yesterday. We've got another one coming up on Thursday, but I think they're trying to go live of almost every day.
Wow,
Yeah, so I'm looking forward
impressive.
to that. Staying busy. I've been going there for a long time, so we kind of go through all the stuff. I bring it back home with me and just sort it all out, get it uploaded. It's been a lot of fun so far.
Good, good. Glad to hear it, man. Did you finally get a cheesesteak or what?
Yeah, we did. We got one. Uh, it was either yesterday or 2 days ago. I can't remember now.
Someplace local to you guys, or
Yeah, it's called Crossroads. It's
okay?
down. It's in a place called Hellertown, and they've been open my entire life. They actually resold to somebody else, but oh my god, their food is insane. It's so good.
Well,
But
when you get a chance, I don't normally push the touristy joints, but I got to tell you, out of the big touristy kind of cheesesteak joints, Tony Luke's is pretty good.
oh, Tony Luke's, I heard, is phenomenal. I haven't had
Yeah,
a chance to try there yet, though.
they use a different cut of beef. It's not so shredded,
Hmm.
right? So, but they used to have one local here, but the problem was it was connected to a bowling alley.
Hmm.
I think something happened or whatever, or they figured out this was not the location for them because they weren't seeing it's a bowling, and then they're connected to the bar, so it's kind of a weird setup sort of thing.
Yeah.
So they ended up closing down, which I was a little disappointed at because there's not one close to me now. And I'm not driving 30-35 minutes into Philly and then cross the bridge and pay the toll, and then all of a sudden that turns out to be a $20 cheesesteak, man.
Oh, I
Uh,
know. I don't blame you on that.
yeah, yeah. So if I'm in Philly, and I'm in the area, I'll grab Tony Luke's. But yeah, you got to try Tony Luke's. If you haven't tried it before, you got to try it.
Yeah, next time
And
I
they
go
got
visit the city, I'll definitely give it a shot. That's one I've
yeah,
wanted to try.
they got like a hot pepper bar, so different kind of pepper, pickled tomatoes. It's the whole 9 yards. So you got to try that out. Now I'm hungry.
I definitely will. And we got figure drawn already. Run Eagles run. Yeah, they had a good weekend though.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you that number one, let's all come back into the realm of reality here. Okay, we were playing a extraordinarily poor Giants team that couldn't get out of their own way. I mean, their defense played pretty good, and I got to tell you, man, Jalen Hurts still makes me nervous, man.
Oh yeah.
He'll miss those open receivers. Not sure why we were passing that much against the Giants. That didn't make a whole lot of sense since figure drawing. That's my point
Hmm.
exactly. They even though the Giants held them to like 135 yards on the ground, I still think that part of that was because they kept going in the air. I didn't understand that. They didn't stick with what was tried and true. Jalen couldn't get out of the pocket really, so he wasn't really running. Against the Giants, this is going to work, but I don't know, man. Once you start talking about better teams, it's like, of course, we had our show last night with Rock and Robbie. So Robbie's strutting around, after that massive butt whooping that they gave Washington, which was a butt whooping. I mean, that was almost. You almost kind of felt bad for Heineke,
Yeah, it's just
after a while, like, oh, dude, just pull him out. Stop, man,
it's the same
stop.
thing. The Washington team sucks too. I
I
mean,
mean, they're really bad. But
yeah.
I gotta say though, the Dallas defense is something to look out for. I mean, they have been consistent. They have won a lot of games for them. Okay, and that goes back to the Eagles game. I mean, look at where the points were coming from.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of those points were coming from defense. I mean, the interception, the other turnover, which put them inside the red zone more or less. It wasn't really the offense generating that the points there. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, it's first of all, you're never going to get out of the NFC with you got Brady and you got Aaron Rodgers. I mean, come on.
I
You
know.
know, that's just not going to happen. I mean, the kind of defense that we're playing is you might be able to stop them, but on the offensive side, you're not going to get that many defensive points. It's crazy. But I got to say, I was impressed with Dallas's defense. I mean, they, granted they were playing the very weak Redskins, or not Redskins anymore, but the Washington football team.
Still nameless.
Yeah, still nameless. They're such a hot mess. So you got Adrian in the house, figure drawing. We'll see Matt as Cowabunga dude. Let's see, Cameron. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining AR show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for coming to hang out today. And now that we've got, the food conversation, the football conversations out of the way, the real reason why everyone joined today, new comic book day previews, we're going to talk about some Dynamite books, all the other cool things that are going to be
except for
out.
Figure drawing. I think he's here for the football talk.
He's here for football now. In the beginning, it was the previews, but it turns into football talk. So, but before we get into any of those books, one book that I really want to talk about super quick that I know a lot of people have kind of been speculating on that isn't exactly what people thought it was going to be is the new Timeless issue. So we got Timeless issue number 1 coming out. It is just a one shot, but the whole reason about it is that people were hyping it up for, there's a Humberto Ramos Miss Minutes variant. So if you've seen Loki, that is the first cover appearance of Miss Minutes from the Loki show. But the thing is that people are hyping it up for the first appearance as well. I don't know if I missed it. When I was at my shop today, I was going through all the books. I went through the book. I didn't read it yet. It actually looks really awesome, though. Dr. Doom's in it. That's a little spoiler. But like I said, it looks pretty sweet. Miss Minutes is not in that book, though. I was going to say, Miss Minutes is not in it. So Marvel really likes to do this thing where they hype up a book, especially they throw her on the front cover. They turned it into an FOC only variant that, you had to basically pre-order it through a shop and you had to get it on time to actually get this cover. And that character's not in it that I'm aware of. Maybe there's a very tiny part that I missed, but just going through it, I'm pretty sure it's only a cover appearance. So I would not overpay for it just because of a cover. It looks really cool as a read, though. But we got Ghost Junk. Timeless is going to have 2 first appearances confirmed. So basically everything I just said may be wrong. But like I said, I went through it and I didn't see Miss Minutes in it. So if there's other appearances in there, they're different first appearances. But from looking at it quickly, I didn't see Miss Minutes. Was confirmed in the book as well. Damn, all right, so I'm totally wrong. I know it's in the front cover, but someone else went through it too. And he was saying the same thing. He's like, I actually don't think Miss Minutes is in it. But like I said, I didn't really go through it I only went through it pretty quick, just a skim.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that what you're talking about now is, and that's the power that Marvel has. And maybe in a certain way, when you look back at the early 90s, that they've learned through the decades, they've learned something. And what they've learned is that they can connect the two, so you can have somebody appear in Loki that nobody's ever seen before and then stick that character into a comic for first appearance. And now all of a sudden you can plan that first appearance. Whereas before you could never do that. Mm-hmm. You would create a new character that follows into the storyline, but you don't know if people are going to latch onto that character and say, oh, wow, that character is fantastic. Or it just becomes something that nobody ever notices and it doesn't sell. Now I think Marvel's discovered that they have the power to be able to create their own situation, which is, I guess, good and bad. I mean,
definitely goes both ways.
Yeah, it's definitely like anything else. There's a good part to it and a bad part to it. It'll obviously fill their coffers more if they can control that. But I think maybe there's some, I think at some point it's going to fall flat, and not everything that they touch turns to gold. And the Eternals movie was an example of that, I think.
I can agree with that too. Now, if you guys have a second, you go on eBay. The very first one for Timeless issue 1, Ramos Miss Minutes variant pre-sale, $20 plus $5 shipping, 18 already sold. I know my shop was talking about it. They're on the fence with it right now. They don't really know what to do with it. They have a ton of covers. They're debating on putting about half of them away, like in a little vault that they have. and just waiting it out, because they have a whole warehouse where they stick a whole bunch of cool books and
Right.
stuff. I haven't seen it yet, but they were debating on taking half of them there and just sitting on it and then just waiting to see what the other half does. But they were kind of looking through it and they were looking up eBay sales. They said, you know what, I think we're just going to throw it out on the shelf anyway, just regular price, screw it.
Right.
But we'll see what they do with it. I'm very on the fence with overspending on that one, because it looks like even Ghost Junket says, I think you're right, and Miss Minutes isn't the book. You're on point. So we'll see how that turns out. I liked Miss Minutes. I thought that was a really cool little thing they added to Loki, but I would definitely not. I don't know. I wouldn't consider that a real character. I wouldn't consider that something crazy.
Again, I haven't read the issue either, but it kind of makes sense in that if you think about it, by doing it that way. So what they're trying to do is they're really trying to take a first appearance and stretch it over 2 issues. If you think about it.
You know, the other thing was they did that last week with, I think the issue is called Avengers Forever. Not 100%, but they were talking about how that was the first appearance of Captain Carter in comics, like based off the What If series from Disney Plus. I didn't read it. I didn't pick it up, but a lot of people are saying that character, Captain Carter, was not in that issue. Everybody I was talking about online was wrong. It was actually, I think the 1 in 50 was the cover appearance, but that was it. So Marvel likes to do these things where they throw a character on the cover, but the character's not actually associated with the issue itself.
Well, from a sales standpoint, it certainly makes sense to do it that way, because what you're doing is you're taking, obviously first appearances are very important. Now they realize they have an ability to create that situation, obviously through the movies, through the streaming series and whatever. And now they can create characters to throw into the MCU and then pull that character out and put them in a specific title. And if they have control over that, then this is actually, from a business standpoint, it's pretty smart, in that now we're taking that first appearance and we're splitting it into 2. So now afterwards, in the aftermarket, you can say, well, that's the first cover appearance. This is the first appearance in the issue. Okay. So they're trying to double up. I mean, is it right? Is it good? I don't know, but you and I have talked about this before, how the movies, we've always talked about how the comics themselves are the source material for most of the movies. And now I guess Marvel's finally turned that corner and realizes, well, you know what? Through the movie and TV media, we can create characters here and then flip them back the other way. Okay. And if they're going to do that, obviously they're going to try to maximize their dollars, and they,
of course.
So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I could see why certain collectors would get angry about that. Like, now you're double dipping and you're trying to get twice the money from me as opposed to 1. I get that. But by the same token, this could lead to a lot of very interesting characters that get created. And all of a sudden, the 2 things become even further linked. We kind of touched on this in terms of how people feel about speculators and how they feel about things like Guardian of the Galaxy all of a sudden becoming scarcer because of the popularity of the movie. Is that good or bad? As I always say, I think it's good and bad. There are some negative sides to it, but overall, I see it as a good thing, because you get somebody that goes to the movies and watches Black Widow, watches Spider-Man, whatever the case may be, and they've never picked up a comic for whatever reason. And all of a sudden now they're like, well, you know what? I've seen the movie. It's going to be, another, right now we're looking for Hawkeye's done. Spider-Man came out. We're looking at another 5-6 months before anything else breaks. And like anybody else, when you binge something, you get to that last episode and you're like, what? Not enough. I need more. And maybe it drives that traffic back to the comics, which is something we haven't really seen before. We've seen how the movies have exploded, how they've taken the ideas out of the books, but it hasn't really gone back to the comic reading and comic collecting fans out there. So in a sense, maybe the positive, I think, is that it may drive more people to actually collecting comics.
I mean, like you said, we've talked about this plenty of times, and I totally agree with that. I really like how they're kind of incorporating, people who only watch show, people who only read comics. They're kind of bringing it together, and I think Miss Minutes is a good, starting point to that. Whether that character is in the comic or not, same thing with the Captain Carter from last week's Avengers Forever. That's cool going forward. And it's really trying to, bridge that gap of whether you just watch the show, whether you only read the books. And I think going forward, that is something pretty cool. So totally agree with that.
I think Dave had a comment in the chats. If it's not an incentive, retailers should always offer a certain quantity for cover price on launch day.
I agree with that too.
I do and I don't, I guess. That's what's funny, because the comment Dave just made, the problem is that, we talk about this a lot, is that your local comic book shop, certain ones are doing better than others. I'm sure that if you have a comic book shop in New York City, you're going to do better than say in a much smaller town somewhere in the Midwest, whatever the case may be, where you can't garner that kind of traffic.
Mm-hmm.
If that guy's trying to pay his bills at the end of the month, and he thinks, now he doesn't know anything more than the rest of us do, so he's speculating on his part, but he's trying to keep his doors open. So if he thinks that this is going to be the big hit and he's going to try to maximize it, I can't say that I really blame the guy. He's trying to keep a roof over his head, continue doing business, so on and so forth. But I mean, I think this is a very interesting question that you brought up, about Miss Minutes, because that could have unintended consequences, if you will. It's funny when you do that, or you do something like that, it has, unintended consequences that could backfire on you. The fans may get upset about it. But the other problem is, even if, say, they did implement a rule like that, how would you enforce it?
I totally agree. I mean,
it's unenforceable.
Like you said, it comes down to the shop. If you're out in the middle of nowhere, maybe you have, say, a total of 5 copies. Maybe if someone pre-ordered it and they really want that cover, that could be a different story, especially if they've been going there for a long time. But if you're a shop that's a little bit bigger, like New York City, even, Jersey, PA, big shop, lots of copies. I don't know how many my shop had, but they had a ton of them. Maybe they put 5 out for everybody. Maybe they put 10 a little bit higher priced. Maybe they hold on to 15 or 20 of them for themselves. Right. So they have that unique opportunity to do that.
Right. So Dave's saying, no way, Rex, that's how that retailer will lose regular customers. So I would say to Dave that that's a customer service issue, I think. And if you as a comic shop owner, you don't know your regular customers well enough that you would give them that respect, and by all means, I think you should vote with your feet. If you don't feel like that shop is treating you, as a regular customer, like a frequent flyer, if you will, it's just like airlines, right? Mm-hmm. If you're up to a certain frequent flyer amount, you get into the airport lounge, and they have free drinks and free food, and you get all that stuff. That's just an issue of customer service. And if you as a retailer, you sit there behind the counter, and people come in, and some guy's been coming in for a decade, and all you ever have for him is, hey, how you doing? Here's your pull list. That's bad customer service. And I don't care what you're selling, whether it's comics, cars, whatever it may be, you're not going to get that guy back. So I agree to disagree with Dave in that, if you have certain customers that are your regular customers, you're going to do it for them. Okay. But, some Johnny come lately, is hunting for this book. Okay. And calls you up. Hey, do you have this and this? Knowing that the prices are going up, and that person's trying to get it from you, a cover price, and then flip it on eBay. Well, why should the local comic shop, do that? Why should they help that guy out? I mean, he's got lights. He's trying to service his customers. He's trying to run his store, keep the lights on, that type of thing. So, but again, I mean, my opinion, and $4 will get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks. So.
I mean, if we're being completely honest, that small shop that only has a few copies, they don't even have to say they have any, No, we didn't get any in, no one really pre-ordered the book. Only a couple people did. Keep it for yourself and then go that way. But like Dave said, to follow AR's example, if a shop orders 5 and the book is suddenly hot, hold 3 for a higher price and still make that profit. I truly think that's the greatest, route. They're making the customer happy. say some people didn't get it. Now all of a sudden, well, I guess you probably should have showed up a little bit earlier for the book. We had a few out. We didn't have that many. And now, boom, they still have their copies and they're still sitting on a few. So it all works out kind of in the end. But
right.
sorry.
I'm just looking at the chats real quick.
I was going to say, I didn't want to skip over Roland. I did see this, but we were still kind of on our little tangent that we were talking about. Do you think the cover for Miss Minutes will be hard to get? I don't know. It depends on where you live. I do think if you're from a little bit smaller of a shop, a little bit smaller of an area, I think it will be a little bit tougher because I according to my shop, I'm not 100% on this. They did say it was I think an FOC cutoff. I think it's considered cover J. So actually I pulled it up right now. It just says Miss Minutes variant. I think it was an FOC cutoff. You had to have it pre-ordered just to even, get that.
Right.
And I do think it might be a little bit harder. And at that rate, not just a little bit harder, but if you can get it, I think it's going to be a little bit above cover price, maybe floating around $8 to $10. Just my opinion.
And this may not work. This is an experiment, that Marvel's, obviously pushing forward, and we're probably going to see more of it regardless. And it may not work for all we know. Maybe people figure it out and they're like, man, now you're trying to double up on me. You're trying to double dip, so on and so forth. So it's hard to say how this is going to pan out, and ultimately every LCS is going to make their own decision based on their own, unique situation. It's different than say, you're in a natural disaster and all of a sudden you're charging, $300 for a case of water. Okay. That's a little different, as opposed to this. Yeah. And I try to remember that. And I try not to be too hard on the LCSs, and there are big ones out there, that are doing just fine, and if they do that, then I think they have a concern about future customer service, getting blasted, obviously, on the internet. But, again, if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you're dealing with a smaller customer base, I wouldn't blame that guy. If you had an opportunity to make extra on something, because, there are a lot of titles that he runs through that he has to sell at cover price or even lower in some cases, so it all kinds of evens out. But I think it's a very interesting topic that you brought up, though.
And I think what Dave said, 99% of the people who buy the Miss Minutes cover for resale are going to lose money. I agree with that 100%. This is only a one shot. And if Miss Minutes is in it, that could be a whole different story. But assuming she's not even in it, it's just a cover appearance. This is something where if you just go a couple weeks, people are going to stop caring about it. This is a tomorrow only thing. Get cover A, call it a day, wait a few weeks, hell, wait a month or two, and I'm sure you're going to find it probably on some back bins. You might find it on the wall still, and it's probably going to be cover price. So
unless Marvel follows us up very quickly.
Unless if this, it turns out it could be a big book tomorrow. But like I said, I flipped through it. Another guy flipped through it pretty quickly too, because we were just, putting everybody's stuffs in the, their bins. But I don't think the character is in it. I think it's only a cover appearance.
All right. Well, tomorrow, I know you'll read the comic between today and tomorrow. So
definitely gonna read it.
Give us the blow by blow report. But I don't disagree with Dave. I agree with a lot of things that he's saying, and he's looking. He's talking from a pure fan collector standpoint, and I understand. It almost seems like what's the word I'm looking for? Same example as the guy with the water. But again, it's not something that we have control of. Marvel's got their big machine pushing this. It's clear what they're trying to do. I mean, does it make sense? Who knows? But they're big enough, and they got enough money in the coffers to take the experiment.
Oh, absolutely.
So they're definitely going to try it. So we'll see what happens.
So other than that, I don't really think anything too crazy is coming out from Marvel. The Doctor Strange series has been all right. Devil's Reign's actually, the first issue was really good. Spider-Man's been pretty solid still, but nothing really too crazy. It's obviously a small week from almost every single publisher.
Yeah. Between Christmas and New Year's.
Can't blame them for that. But as we move on to Image super quick, because I know Dynamite's got a book that I want to talk about too with you. The big one from Image this week, in my opinion, this is probably going to be the biggest book of the week. We've got Stray Dogs Dog Days issue number 1. It is only a 2-issue miniseries, so take that for what it is if you're a Stray Dogs fan. But Stray Dogs was awesome. One of my favorite series of the year. I'm really hoping they follow up with it. But this is something that really irks me to the core. 2-issue miniseries. Rex, hear me out on this one. There are 65 covers for this issue tomorrow. Granted, most of them are exclusives. There's a cover A, cover B, and I think it's a 1 in 50 incentive variant. And I mean, both those covers are all 3 of those covers are awesome. But oh my God, 65 covers. Like, at what point is that just overkill? It's all like homage variants as well. Like, it's all the horror ones. And it was so cool in the beginning because they felt like exclusive. It felt just like, oh my God, I need to get to Friday the 13th. I love that movie. And now all of a sudden it's every movie is just, or every issue is just all these homage variants coming out from every single exclusive company because they want a piece of that action. And I don't know, it kind of bothers me.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not unusual. We've seen it with movies, of late. I think one of the biggest complaints coming out of Hollywood is there's very little original material coming out, and when it does come out, the moviegoers don't really embrace it. So everybody's trying to go back to the formula that works. So 65 covers, that's a lot, and obviously they're trying to hit something that's working. But the problem with doing that, I think sometimes, is that there's a limit. And if you're not careful, it's like anything else, like a tank of gas in your car. If you drive real fast and real far, you're going to burn through that gas a lot faster than if you drive slow and steady and not quite as far. So how long does this go before the fans are going like, this is ridiculous. There's too many covers. I don't even know what to do with them.
I mean, that's how I feel, and I love the series. And then Dave brings up, he says, AR, do you think the publisher should limit the number of exclusives? See, I know, Dynamite, as a publisher, you might be able to give a little bit better of an insight because you got a little bit more knowledge of the business itself. But from someone on the outside looking in, I think it would be smart on their end to limit the amount of exclusives that they could have. You could have a cover A, cover B, maybe a couple incentives like a 1 in 10, 1 in 25, hell, even like a 1 in 50, 1 in 100 too for a series like this.
Right.
And then, outsource, get a couple other comic shops that are like, hey, we're interested in having an exclusive. So yeah, all right, cool. Have an exclusive. But man, 65, I feel like someone looking at that would just be like, I don't know, that's too many covers. I don't know which one to pick, and all of a sudden it just takes the exclusivity out of it for me. Because when I was looking at the second, third prints for the original Stray Dogs series, hell, I think I bought Bombardier and Sons exclusive coming up. But I'm looking at them all like, I see so many of them. I like all of them. I can't afford all of them, so now I don't really want any of them. I'll just take a cover A and call it a day.
Well, figure drawing, that's pretty funny. Space Dogs 2, The Search for More Money.
Pretty much.
What? I guess that's the funny thing. That's a gray area. What is enough? What is not enough? And that becomes 65. That's more than enough. But every publisher will find where that balance is. Very much the same thing as what Marvel's doing right now with the discussion we just had a minute ago, about splitting, taking a first appearance and splitting it in two, a cover appearance and then an interior appearance, trying to milk it for as much as they can. So who knows? I mean, I think they'll find out. They'll find out, when they release that and they release that many covers, and we'll see what happens.
I agree, and I think these comments are all on point. We got Deadpool Kennedy. Anyone else think it's a cash grab release? Only 2 issues, but with 65 covers, sounds suspicious, and then followed up right away with Roland. I don't think it's going to be a hit like Stray Dogs 1. The print run on this should be high, right? I think it's going to be a high print run. I mean, my shop had an insane amount of cover A's. They actually got the amount just so they could get the 1 in 50. It's a big shop. It really is. So it's cool to see a small shop, how they work, and now a huge shop to see how they function. So I feel like I got the best of both worlds over the last couple years and then now. Right. But to me, I really think it is going to be more of a cash grab. Like, oh, let's just release this 2-issue mini run and all these covers. And I mean, you can't really blame Image. All these people are reaching out like, hey, we want a piece of Stray Dogs. We saw how incredible it was with the first 5 issues. Everyone loved it. And now all of a sudden, yeah, why would they say no to people who are going to pay them to have their own exclusive? You know, you can't blame Image, but at the same time, it's taking away from what it really is.
Well, you usually the market dictates, how things go. So,
That too.
Bandwagon is saying, hopefully this doesn't become an industry standard. It all depends on how this plays out. If the value of the aftermarket value begins to drop, then we know exactly how it played out. The comic fans out there will not accept it, and that will stop other publishers from trying it, because they're only going to try stuff that works. They're not going to try stuff that didn't work. So, again, and I believe, the market itself will determine whether or not that happens.
I agree with that. And I think another reason to continue on with the whole, this kind of seems like a cash grab, like Dave said, especially since Image said they won't be doing a second print of a book. I think they're still doing like very rare ones, but I know they did make a comment recently that said they're not going to be doing second prints. But other than them not doing second prints, all the delays that are happening, the paper shortages, and just the schedules just aren't, LCSs don't exactly even know which books are going to be showing up half the time. Oh, it ended up getting delayed from this publisher. Oh, we're going to be getting these ones next week because they can only ship out these at once.
Right.
So with all of that happening and all of these problems, all these small weeks from all these publishers because they can't actually pump out all the books, I don't know. It does, to me, it seems kind of like a cash grab. But I was a big fan of Stray Dogs, the first series. But that's just my opinion. Everyone's got their own opinion. Some people, they might eat these covers up and they're going to say, hey, I love these. I love it. I want them all. And, it's to each their own.
Well, it'll be interesting. I mean, in the next few weeks, we'll see how that plays out.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Again, these are all ideas that, and I agree with you. I mean, how do you blame Image? Somebody's coming with money in hand saying, hey, we want to do this.
Yeah.
Once again, I go back to that example. Still got to keep the lights on. Still got to keep the roof over the office. You still got all the bills to pay. So, kind of in a sense, how do you turn it down,
And at that same rate, like we're saying, why would Image turn that down if they're going to be getting all this money for Stray Dogs? These comic shops who are shelling out X amount of money to get their own exclusive, they might be thinking the same thing. Wow, we got a piece of this action. We got our own exclusive for an upcoming series.
Right.
So you have all these different comic shops thinking the same exact thing. It's kind of a shame because I'm sure at that point they may not have known all of these people were going to have their own exclusive for it. So now it might be hurting them. But back then, when they first initially heard about it, because when I was talking to Scout Comics, they're talking about solicitations that need to be completed for six or 8 months down the line from now. So if shops get that same type of info, like, 8 months from now, do we want to do this? Sure, absolutely. Stray Dogs is a hit. And 8 months ago, Stray Dogs was still a hit. That book was still selling for a couple $100. 9.8 was selling for a little over $300. So why would they not? Now, I think like you're talking about with the market, I think a lot of readers, speculators, people who, really are buying into the hobby, I think they're coming to the realization that a lot of these first appearances, these cover books, they're not worth what they're being told it's worth. They're sitting on a lot of copies. They're buying everything up, and now they're having a hard time to move a lot of stuff too.
Right. Yeah. So it should be interesting. It should be interesting to see,
I think so too.
I don't think it'll work, but, we'll find out.
We absolutely will. Other than that, super light week from Image. We've got the new Ice Cream Man coming out. That's always going to be a fun one. I like what they're doing with that series. Boom Studios, very light week too.
I think we have a CGC Ice Cream Man for tomorrow.
Nice.
So 9.8 as a matter of fact. Which issue is it?
I was going to say number 20.
So we got some great stuff. As always, we'll have the 10-pack reader set, 10 random Dynamite titles for $5. We do that to try and introduce people to new titles. It's a great way to find new titles to read, and kind of a thank you to our viewers. Our viewers really make it. The Mega Mix set tomorrow will be an Avengers Mega Mix set. Let me see. And then, we have some cool stuff. Autograph books. Of course, as always, Ken Hazer sketch cover remarks. We're actually thinking about giving it a new name. The viewers yesterday felt like we needed, they're way better than remarks. We've kind of talked about it before. Had some people, throw up on the chats what we should call it. Now the problem is making it stick to the rest of the industry. Whatever phrase we coin for it. But some great stuff. We'll have a statue like we always do. I haven't picked one yet, but I'll have one picked by tomorrow morning. But it was a real fun show. I guess we had a lot more viewers than I thought we were going to have last night, only because I wasn't sure what we were going to get. That week in between Christmas and New Year's is always kind of weird. I guess a lot of people were just at home last night and they joined us and it was fun. Yes, Dave came up with CCA, commission cover art. That was one we liked.
Nice. Okay, yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, so maybe we should start using that. Tomorrow we'll start calling it commission cover art and see if we can get it to stick. We'll throw that one up against the wall.
I like that though. That's a good name for it.
I do too, because it's not a remark anymore.
No.
So you kind of have to, the remark applied to something very, very different than what we see with Ken Hazer and stuff. So
he does a whole blank sketch cover. It's not even a tiny thing on it.
DF cool commission covers. That's a little cumbersome, Nick. Okay. That's a little long, buddy.
Have you ever had a conversation with me?
DF. What did you say?
DF commission covers.
Cool commission covers. So cool. DFCCC.
DFCCC.
Yeah, that one ain't gonna stick, bro. I don't think that one's sticking. Gonna need some tape for that.
But with tomorrow too, not just on the experience, we missed out on one of the best books coming out tomorrow too for all you Dynamite fans. We got Vengeance of Vampirella 25. That's the final issue of the Vengeance of Vampirella series. I'm sure you're gonna have more coming, but 25 issue run coming to an end. I think you've got looks like on my end only about 5 different covers.
Yes, and one by Lucio Perillo,
nice.
And then Steven Segovia as well. So yeah, it was a light week for us as well. As we talked about it. All right, so Dave votes DF Triple C sounds cool. Man, that's a mouthful too when you say DF Triple C. I actually like yours, Dave. CCA is actually nice and condensed. I think that one could stick. But hey, we'll talk about it tomorrow on the show.
One of you better trademark that. Someone's going to be listening in or watching that, and they're going to coin it for their own idea.
Yeah, right.
Then, next thing you know, CGC is going to have check out our new CCA. You're going to be sitting there like, I thought of that first. Don't play that game.
We have written evidence.
Someone's going to screenshot this, send it to someone else, be like, hey, they're stealing that right now.
So, and you got Ryan here. What's going on, Ryan?
Let's go, Ryan. Merry Christmas. Hope you guys had a good one. Speaking of that, I hope everybody had a good holiday. I haven't really checked in.
Yeah. So hopefully everybody had a good holiday. And Dave, the last minute throw in that Nick had last night, the Virgin Lucio Perillo covers, got those picked for you. No duplications. Just wanted to let you know, brother. Nice. I look forward. I think we're gonna have a good crowd tomorrow night, so it should be fun.
It's always a good time. If you guys haven't tuned in already, it's 6 o'clock on the East Coast, correct? 6 to 8. I'm still getting my times down.
Where you live now?
I'm still getting my times down. I almost missed it again today. I sat down at 3 o'clock. I was like, 3 o'clock. Oh, 4 o'clock. I'm an hour off again. That happened 2 weeks in a row now. I was an hour off.
Eat more cheesesteaks.
And time's coming. I still haven't eaten Wawa yet either. I've been there twice and I didn't get any of the sandwiches.
What?
Oh, the one by me selling beer now. I don't know if that's a new thing.
Well, you can get away with that in Pennsylvania, not New Jersey though.
Not New Jersey yet?
No, it won't ever happen in New Jersey.
Really?
The liquor laws are very different here. Yeah.
That's insane. I mean, I thought it was insane to see it in Wawa, but
we have more restaurants on the Jersey side where you have to bring your own alcohol.
Really?
It's very, very hard to get a license. A liquor license, and because of the scarcity, they're so expensive. Really, new restaurants, only really big chains can afford it. Like it's not unheard of for a liquor license in this area to run $500,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Talk
Why
about
would they
scarcity.
do that?
Yeah, supply and demand. Yeah.
Wouldn't that bring in like a lot more business and money generated to the state of Jersey? Does that not make sense? Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, it's funny, I guess. I guess when you look at alcohol, it's one of those things. It's like a sin tax, right? It's like smoking and everything else. Um,
Yeah.
it's you can tax it and people will pay it. So unlike Pennsylvania is kind of a little bit archaic too with the state stores. But
Yeah.
here you have to go to a liquor store in order to buy liquor, anything that's not wine or beer. You can get wine and beer, which is kind of weird, at bars and various places, and they call themselves packaged goods. So you can go in and buy like a 6-pack of beer and a bottle of wine, but of course you're paying like $12, $13 for a 6-pack of Bud Light.
That's
Okay,
wild.
yeah. So if you're going to a packaged goods bar that lets you take it out, you're probably doing it at 1 a.m. in the morning. Okay, where everything's closed. But because we don't have state stores, we have actual liquor stores that that are run by private companies, private businesses. We get much better pricing than you guys get. I know Pennsylvania's weird too, because you got the state stores for the liquor and everything else.
Yep, the wine and spirits.
The beer distributors where you walk into their big refrigerator and buy your case of beer and wine or whatever. So it's all kind of split up a little bit funny. But yeah, for a restaurant, a liquor license in this state is very, very hard to come by. And if you're a small restaurant, you don't have $500,000 to get a liquor license. And to be quite honest with you, I don't mind it so much because when you go out to dinner, one of the biggest expenses is obviously the alcohol.
Oh yeah, always is,
because they're upcharging that, right? So if you bring your own, you bring a 6-pack, cost you $8. You bring it, 2 or 3 friends, you crack the beers open, it costs you $8. You go to a restaurant, order the beer, it's $8 a beer.
Now, does it cost more to bring your own? Like, do you have to pay like a no?
No, I know what you're talking, like an opening fee. Nah.
Yeah.
Because the restaurants don't want to discourage you from coming in, so they're not going to charge anything, to bring your own stuff. They don't have a liquor license, so they can't do anything. So they're more than happy for you to bring your own stuff. They don't have.
I actually like that. I like that concept.
It's sort of good sometimes. It's sort of not so good some other times. It depends.
I'm surprised they don't charge though. I feel like they would have some sort of fee for you to bring your own just to be able to do it.
Because then it'll chase you away to one of the big chains that does have a liquor license. If I got to pay you a bottle opening fee, why don't I just go eat over there? You know what I mean? Yeah. So Dave Sarona's asked, what is the cheesesteak tax in New Jersey? Dave, there is no cheesesteak tax anywhere in the tri-state area. Okay, Delaware, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, because that would be a crime. That would be an absolute travesty if they charged the cheesesteak tax. All right, so that's why. Alcohol, no, but cheesesteaks, forget about it. You can't charge it. You'd have people up in arms, man. Torches and pitchforks, the whole 9 yards.
Nice. And on that note, we are hitting the 42, 43 minute mark. I know you're a very busy guy. We tend to stick to about a half an hour, and that clearly didn't pan out like usual. But it was a really good conversation.
Hey, listen, we always have fun.
Absolutely.
And just for all the viewers out there, if you're new to Alex's channel, make sure you hit thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. Help him grow his channel. It's a great channel with great content. So I always try to remind everybody. And if you're already subscribed, hit your thumbs up. It definitely helps. It helps, make his channel more visible. So, and tune in tomorrow. And as always, we don't know what we're going to talk about or how we're going to talk about it or what may come up. But it's as always, it's interesting.
Will John be back?
I don't believe John will be back tomorrow. So it'll be me, Amy, and you. So I'm not sure. I think next week John's back. I mean,
man, his vacations, I'll tell you.
If you can afford to do it, if you can be like John and retire early and just go wherever you want to go, whenever you want to go, hey, more power to you.
Oh my God, of course.
I would do it too. I think he was in Florida, so he should be tan. If he's not tan, we're going to make relentless fun of him.
Solid. Well, we'll see about that. And of course, I mean, Figure Drawing said thanks for the stream. Now it's all about you guys. I love doing this stuff.
Thank you guys for joining Alex's show. We always have fun. I mean, so
absolutely.
We really appreciate our viewers.
all viewers, they really make this happen. And obviously you being able to take time out of your busy day, I really do appreciate it too. So tune
Not a
in
problem, buddy.
tomorrow, 6:00 Eastern Standard Time. All of the links are down low in the description. Go check out their YouTube. They've got a bunch of stuff already posted. They're on Instagram too. I've got Dynamite Dynamic Forces in there as well. Make sure you check that stuff out. And we'll be back on next Tuesday talking about the new comics and brand new year too. So we really got some cool stuff to talk about. But thank you again, Rex. Thank you again, everybody else, and have a good day.
Thanks, everyone.